out a quieter room without saying a word. It was a great day, it's going to be a great evening, and it's going to be a great year, and it's going to be a great decade for all of us. Right? So thank you all for joining us. We're gathered here, I would like to acknowledge we're gathered here this evening on the unceded territory of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, and the ancestral lands of the Innu and Inuit peoples. A few housekeeping items before we get underway, very important. This facility has a two-stage alarm system where a series of bells and flashing strobe lights will signal a potential emergency. If we get too happy, we might activate the alarm, so we need to know what to do. So when an alarm is first activated, an intermittent tone similar to a house alarm will sound. After 2 minutes, an announcement will be made over the PA system indicating the status of the alarm and what action will need to be taken. When the alarm sounds a steady tone, or if instructed, please proceed to the exits for evacuation in a timely manner and be respectful of everybody trying to get to the exits. And finally, the muster station is located in the Springdale parking lot of the west of the hotel. Now, it's a tremendous honor to be here tonight and to be able to welcome to the stage Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, the Honourable Tony Wakeham, Minister of Energy and Mines, the Honourable Lloyd Parrott, Country President of Equinor, Turlo Seth, Vice President, Canada BP Canada Energy Group, Elsa Assemblée Leon, CEO of the Oil and Gas Corporation of Newfoundland and Labrador, Jim Keating, and the Honourable Joanne Thompson, Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Good evening, everyone. What a time to be a Newfoundlander and Labradorian. It's been quite a journey to get to where we are right now, and because of our government's hard work, the Premier's commitment, we will have a lot of work ahead for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. As a young man growing up in Labrador, I learned about the value of hard work. Both my mom and dad worked in the mines. My mom was one of the first women ever hired in Wabash Mines in 1973 as a miner. I learned about hard work when I got out of high school and I joined the military. And then I learned about hard work when I retired from the military and got involved in construction here in this province and worked alongside and with many of the men and women that are here tonight from the building trades. Our government's work since taking office has been to find more good jobs for the men and women here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Our job is to ensure that we are the primary beneficiaries of our resources, and that is exactly what we have done. For many years, long before becoming Premier, Premier Wakeham has been clear about how we treat our resources. Our province must be developed by Newfoundlanders and Labradorians for the benefit of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Since taking office just over 4 months ago, the Premier has been laser focused on delivering real results: lower taxes, safer communities, better health care, and creating jobs for men and women here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Tonight, you're going to see just how his hard work has paid off. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Premier Wakeham to the podium.
Thank all of you. As I said on election night, wow. Thank you very much, Minister Parrott. It's a great day to be a Newfoundlander and Labradorian. I am so incredibly proud to stand before you today, to speak to people across the province, watching online and on television, to partners across Canada, and to investors around the world, to share the news that so many of us have been waiting and working for. Newfoundland and Labrador is officially back in the oil and gas business. Today, Newfoundland and Labrador is entering a new frontier of offshore oil development. We are signing a formal legal agreement with Equinor and BP to open the path for construction and production of a new offshore oil project in Bay du Nord. This will be the first deepwater oil project in the Canadian North Atlantic, one that will pave the way for other projects that will unlock what scientists believe are immense energy reserves in the Flemish Pass. Others have been talking about Bay du Nord for over a decade. Well, I think we have been talking long enough. It's time to start doing something about it. That's why this is not just another MOU. This is not just another framework agreement. It is not a rubber stamp or a hollow announcement. It is real jobs and real revenues. Through this agreement, two of the world's largest energy companies are committed to investing almost $20 billion in capital and operating expenditures in our province over the 25-year life of this project, and unlocking thousands of new jobs with the prospect of additional projects to follow. Before I go further, I want to express my appreciation to our partners at Equinor and BP for partnering with us on this journey. I am delighted to be joined by Equinor's Country Director, Toril Loseth, and BP Vice President, Elsa Lassemblée-Lian, as we sign this agreement and officially begin a new and exciting chapter in the story of our province's offshore. I want to thank them for the good faith and constructive approach to negotiations that helped make today possible. I also want to offer a personal thank you to Prime Minister Mark Carney, who has been a steadfast supporter of developing Bay du Nord from our very earliest conversation. For a decade, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians were told that we cannot develop our offshore due to anti-oil policies, such as the emissions cap imposed by Prime Minister Carney's predecessor. Well, Prime Minister Carney has lifted that cap, and he has ensured us that Ottawa will assume any obligations under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. It is amazing what new leadership can accomplish. Where once the federal government told us what we cannot do, we now have a partner who is asking about what we can do. Enough of the cannots. Now more than ever, we need leadership who thinks bigger and aims higher. And I am reminded of the famous words of former Premier Brian Peckford, who was one of the architects of the original Atlantic Accord, signed a little over 41 years ago, when he said, and I quote, "Someday the sun will shine, and have not will be no more." Well, today, my message to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador is this: the sun is shining on our offshore, because cannot will be no more. I'm pleased to have Minister Thompson join us on behalf of the Prime Minister today. The next stage of this journey will be to officially designate Beta Nord as a project of national importance and send a message to the world that Canada is truly back as an oil and gas superpower. And I look forward to conversations with the Prime Minister and Minister Thompson to get this over the finish line. I can tell you the negotiations to get to this point were complex and not easy. I will let Taurus speak from the standpoint of the company, but I am confident that our partners have an agreement that makes commercial sense for them. I know that this is an agreement that makes sense for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, and I hope others are paying attention, because this is what it looks like to have an agreement that makes the people of our province the primary beneficiary of our own resources. In total, this agreement will result in Equinor and BP delivering $3.25 billion in capital expenditure and at least $15 billion in operating expenditure in our province over the life cycle of this project. The impact of these investments will be immense. It starts with jobs. For a start, during the construction period, the Beta Nord project will generate, at a guaranteed minimum, 3 million hours of fabrication employment. Over the course of its 25-year life cycle, this project will guarantee 31 million person-hours of employment in offshore and onshore operations. And for the first time in the history of our offshore, we also have a guarantee for full life of field benefits. From the first day to the last, these jobs and investments will be centered right here. And also, for the first time ever, this project includes a guarantee for apprenticeships, a minimum of 10% of all fabrication skilled trades jobs and 15% of all onshore operations skilled trades jobs will go to apprentices. Paving the way for a new generation of Newfoundland and Labrador trades workers. This work will be centered on building subsea components, a minimum of 95% of all subsea work will be completed right here in our province. In addition, through this deal, our province will have a guaranteed opportunity to competitively bid on topsides fabrication work. And this project will also include 1.9 million hours of work in support and professional services. It will also include 100 new jobs at Beta Nord's new Integrated Operations Centre to be located right here. But this story is about more than one project. And what is particularly exciting to me, and this is new, as part of this agreement, Equinor and BP are stepping up to unlock a whole new industry by contributing $200 million to a fabrication fund that we will use to construct a new state-of-the-art, large-scale floating dry dock at Bull Arm. And building this dry dock will create hundreds of new jobs, long-term opportunities for our province's skilled trades workers. It will be proudly fabricated at Bull Arm, built by the hands and expertise of our own building trades workforce. But this is about even more than those immediate jobs, because when completed, this dry dock will create new long-term capacity for vessel maintenance and repair and make Newfoundland and Labrador a national leader in this increasingly vital sector. And here's why this is so important. First, because the pent-up national and global demand for dry dock services is real. Wait times for commercial dry dock work in Canada are between 12 and 24 months. For Coast Guard and naval vessels, it is between 24 and 48 months. Today, too much of this urgent work is being diverted to locations outside of Canada. When completed, we will bring this work home while becoming the hub of a new sector built around engineering and fabrication work. And this is also important because this floating dry dock is central to our province's case to become a keystone of Canada's new defence strategy. This is also something I have spoken about with the Prime Minister. In a dangerous world where Greenland, of all places, became a global hotspot, Canada's new national defence strategy must include investments in our Atlantic fleet. With Halifax already over capacity, this dry dock will unlock our province as a new hub for national defence investments. Finally, and most importantly to me, this floating dry dock will allow us to break the boom-bust cycle of previous oil megaprojects. Past offshore construction projects created a bonanza of short-term jobs during major module fabrication, followed by mass layoffs when the work was complete. By negotiating a $200 million fabrication fund into this deal, we are leveraging our partners' offshore investment to build something long-term and lasting. Beta Nord, long after Beta Nord module is built, this dry dock will still be employing Newfoundland and Labrador trades workers as the heart of a brand new industry. This means trades jobs today, trades jobs tomorrow. This means long-term jobs for the workers who need them. After years of talking about jobs, Newfoundland and Labrador finally has an agreement that is delivering real jobs. And I am delighted that we are joined here by Bob Fiander, other representatives of Trades NL, and others who have been incredible partners with us as we work to build something new and something that can last. And I know that there are many trades workers out there who can't wait to get started. Equinor and BP have also committed an additional $100 million to support research and development in the province, which will be a shot in the arm of our tech sector. These investments will create massive new direct and indirect opportunities for professional services, technology, logistics, and support businesses in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I am so delighted to have Charlene Johnson and members of Energy NL with us as well. I know you will agree this is a great day for your members. From the government's standpoint, this is a game changer for our province's finances. Our long-term projections are that the project will generate over $6 billion in direct revenue over the life of the project. The agreement also allows the government of Newfoundland and Labrador to take up to a 10% equity stake in the project, an option which we are actively exploring. And even after accounting for borrowing costs, an equity position would allow us to earn hundreds of millions of additional dollars in new revenue. I finally want to highlight this point. Beta Nord is not the finish line of our ambition in this sector. It is the starting line. Deepwater drilling is at the frontier of engineering, something that was not even feasible decades ago. And over the past 5 years, over 70% of the world's new oil and gas reserves are coming from offshore sources, and in particular, from deepwater reserves. Well, Newfoundland and Labrador is Canada's offshore oil sector. Right here at home. As we build out this capacity, it will unlock other opportunities in our deepwater energy sector, with billions more in benefits to be realized. And the investment our partners are delivering today will make it easier for the projects that follow. I am confident this is not the final chapter in our offshore story. Instead, it is the next chapter. I sometimes feel like we're just getting started. Yesterday was our 125th day in office. We're moving fast, and we will continue to do so. To all of you who are gathered here today or watching at home, I hope you're as excited as I am. The benefits of this agreement are real, but things are moving fast, and the urgency is also real. You can expect the Minister of Finance to account for the provincial investments related to this project in his upcoming budget. We will be doing our part and investing real dollars, not maybe dollars, to seize this opportunity. We are on pace to begin construction and fabrication for Beta Nord by the first quarter of 2027. Equinor and BP are confident we can have first oil by 2031. Decision makers in Ottawa are currently allocating Canada's new defence spending dollars and deserve certainty that our new floating dry dock will be a reality. By moving with urgency to get this agreement signed, we're not just telling investors that our province is back in the oil business, we're also telling our partners in the federal government that Newfoundland and Labrador is built for defence. And I certainly will have more to say on that in the future. But today is a day to celebrate. After years in limbo, the future of our offshore oil sector is finally bright once again. I've said it before, and I hope you could feel it too. There is nothing quite like a comeback. Thank you.
Let's do it one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Premier Tony Wakeham. Extremely proud to have been a part of this whole process, and I can tell you it wasn't necessarily always an easy process. But as you've heard us talk about tonight, this announcement is a major step forward for this province. When we stay focused on economic growth, responsible resource development, and local jobs and benefits, we can deliver real progress for all of the people of this province. Our workers, our communities, and our province depend on responsible resource development that strengthens our economy and expands opportunities for all workers. Premier Wakeham has been a strong advocate for our province, and it has been a pleasure working with him over the last few months as we worked on securing this agreement. Somebody asked me last week about the speed of our work and how things were going, and I said, I dare you to try and keep up with them. It's been But this is more than just about the government. So as we've talked about hard work tonight, 3 years ago, our friend Tora Lorseth had a very difficult job. He came to this province as a new in-country manager, and he had to deliver devastating news to Energy NL Conference that the Bay du Nord project was being shelved for up to 3 years. This evening, Tora, you get a chance to deliver some great news. I'd like to now call upon Tora Lorseth to say a few words on behalf of our project partners and new players in the field of oil and gas, Equinor and BP.
Thank you. Premier Wakeham, Minister Thompson, Minister Parrott, Cabinet, MHAs, partners and colleagues, on behalf of Equinor and our partner BP, thank you for being here today. Today marks an important milestone for Bay du Nord. It reflects many, many months of focused work and honest conversations. From the outset, the Premier was clear that any agreement must deliver real and lasting value for the people of this province. And that clarity shaped our discussions. The discussions have been, yes, thorough and at times challenging, as it should be. Offshore developments carry meaningful impacts that require careful considerations. They have impacts for communities, for workers, and the broader economy. So this is serious business. What we are announcing today is an agreement that keeps Newfoundland and Labrador at the center of offshore development. It establishes clear, long-term conditions, providing the stability required to move the project forward. It reduces uncertainty and sends a signal that the province of Newfoundland and Labrador is invested in this project. This support matters tremendously. It allows us to move into the next stage of the project maturation, which includes front-end engineering and design, where technical work advances and meaningful contracting takes shape. Now, there is still important work ahead to achieve the final investment decision. This project must meet stringent technical, economic, and commercial thresholds to become a sanctionable project. But today's agreement is significant. Bay du Nord represents an estimated $14 billion capital investment for the first phase. Over its life, it will contribute tens of billions to GDP and government revenues, supporting public services and long-term economic stability. The agreement anchors substantial activity here in Newfoundland and Labrador, from nearly all subsea fabrication and drilling to offshore operations and professional services. It includes firm commitments to research, training, and apprenticeships, ensuring that today's development strengthens tomorrow's workforce. In other words, this is not only about building a project, it's about reinforcing industrial capability and competitiveness in the province for the long term. Bay du Nord is designed as a long-life offshore development centered on subsea infrastructure with significant tieback potential. That design enables steady production and a lasting offshore presence here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And if sanctioned, that long-term profile will drive activities across operations, maintenance, marine services, and the broader supply chain for decades, while contributing to the responsible development of Canadian energy resources. Before closing, I want to thank the many people who have supported Bay du Nord, many of them who are in this room. Across provincial and federal governments, suppliers, community, and business leaders, you have stayed engaged. You have offered perspectives and challenged us when it mattered. This project is stronger because of your collective effort. Premier Wakeham, thank you again for your leadership and your personal engagement throughout this process. We recognize the responsibility you carry, and we value the constructive way that we have worked together. We see this agreement as the beginning of the next chapter of this partnership. And as a nod to you, Premier, I'll say that major offshore developments only succeed when there is full court press. And that is exactly what we have here today. We have a clear path forward, and we are ready to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tora. Perhaps after we can go outside and play some 2-on-2 for us. Today's announcement isn't just great news for Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a great announcement for all of Canada. It signals that Canada is back in the oil business along with Newfoundland and Labrador. This project will be Canada's first deepwater project and a national first, and we're super excited that it's going to happen right here. Having said that, now we've got a special guest that we'd like to invite to the stage. The Honourable Joanne Thompson, Minister of Fisheries and Member of Parliament for St. John's East, is going to say a few words.
Thank you, and I'm so pleased to be here. We are here tonight to talk about Bay du Nord Development Project, a project that matters deeply to our province and to our country, but mostly to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, and what it means for our shared history and our economic prosperity. By the numbers, the offshore oil and gas sector contributes nearly 20% of Newfoundland and Labrador's GDP, 15% of the province's revenues, and supports nearly 20,000 jobs. Families depend on it, local businesses revolve around it, and now colleagues across all levels of government see what we've always known, This sector provides good careers right here at home. And it's how we build a new chapter of prosperity and energy security for Newfoundland and Labrador. As the Prime Minister has said, we are at a hinge moment in Canada's history. Everything from our economy to our sovereignty to our climate is being tested. This is a moment where we can look to the past or where we can be bold in choosing to rethink trade, transform our industries, and assert with ambition and confidence our determination to become a global energy superpower. The challenge is an opportunity to grow. No one knows that better than Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Newfoundland and Labrador has what the world needs, and we will be a key part of how Canada becomes a 21st century energy superpower. The people of this province share our government's determination to excel on the world stage, to diversify where we sell our energy, to strengthen our energy security and be our own best customer, and to build an economy that provides good jobs, affordable energy to all Canadians. The Bay du Nord project is a generational one. It is a $14 billion investment with the potential to shape Newfoundland and Labrador's economy for decades. It will unlock a new offshore basin that has the potential to be the lowest emission oil in Canada, and that is a competitive advantage for us. It will create thousands of jobs across construction, fabrication, drilling, logistics, marine operations, long-term maintenance. And it will contribute billions in revenue for federal and provincial governments to pay for the things that we care about: healthcare, childcare, public infrastructure. Importantly, Equinor and its partners have committed to working closely with local suppliers and governments to make sure that the benefits flow to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. That matters because we all know that the world still needs oil. That's why our government thinks it is far better that it comes from a responsible country like Canada, with strong environmental oversight and world-class standards. Another defining strength of Bay du Nord is the framework that governs it. The joint management regime established under the Atlantic Accords ensures that Newfoundland and Labrador and Canada work together on decision-making, regulatory oversight, managing our offshore resources. It is a real Team Canada approach. The federal government has been at the table since the beginning, providing the necessary approvals and frameworks for success. This project is a clear example of how joint management works when everyone is at the table from the beginning: industry, governments, communities, and regulators, all working together on environmental protection, supply chain development, and economic planning. All put together, this project means real, lasting prosperity for families and communities across the province and across Canada. And that's why I am so pleased that it has reached a new milestone today. And our government is pleased to participate in this project to help de-risk it, to enable this important investment in Canada's energy future to move forward. I want to congratulate Equinor and the province of Newfoundland and Labrador on the milestone that we've reached here today, bringing us one step closer to a successful project. I look forward to continuing to work together to ensure that Bay du Nord creates good jobs, drives economic growth, protects the environment, and supports a responsible energy future for Newfoundland and Labrador and for Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Thompson. We will now move into the ceremonial signing. Congratulations. I'd like to say congratulations to our partners here at the table, but I think what's meant to be said is congratulations to all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and our partners. With those signatures on that paper, we're now ready to start moving things forward, and we are where we should have been years ago. Tonight is the result of many months of hard work, long nights, and relentless determination by a team of people led by Premier Tony Wakeham. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a sincere thank you specifically to my team, Craig Martin, Nina Abundo, and Jim Keating. And the entire negotiating team from both sides. It was a relentless, long, difficult negotiation, and I think at the end, both the province and the proponents have won. We're now ready to build, we're ready to go to work, and we're ready to unlock the potential of this project for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. It has been my pleasure to be your MC tonight. This marks the conclusion of our formal event, but feel free to stick around and mingle for a little bit. For members of the media, there will be a media scrum shortly. Someone will be with you in a moment to identify when that's going to happen. Thank you again to our esteemed guests and project partners for joining us tonight. And everyone in this room should remember, this is a historic day for Newfoundland and Labrador. This agreement is going to bring a brighter economic future for all of us.